There comes a time when faith is your greatest weapon. I am not so much talking about faith in a deity through prayer, but faith as the absolute belief in yourself. Sometimes it is not enough to defeat a demon. Sometimes you have to smite it. Enter my favorite build in Demon Souls Remake, the Paladin. This is a strength faith build leaning more towards faith with a high degree of passive health regeneration. I will go over the stats of the build, the equipment, and of course its application in both PvE and PvP. There is a lot to cover, so I made sure that there are timestamps in the description of this video to guide you along and to give you the opportunity to skip to the part that interests you the most. Let's get started. The objective of this build is to increase survivability while also providing a respectable amount of damage in as many situations as possible. Please understand that this build is not meant to make you immortal. Make enough mistakes and the game will be sure to kill you. To reach this objective, we will be running the following stats. Start the game as a Temple Knight. This class is the most efficient to reach the required stat block, and it is also very fitting to the flavor of character we are trying to achieve. I created this build to be efficient in both PvE and PvP, so we are sticking to soul level 120. Finally, this is the stat block that you want to end up with. 50 Vitality, 15 Intelligence, 40 Endurance, 20 Strength, 12 Dexterity, 6 Magic, 50 Faith, and 7 Luck. To reach this point, I recommend you take the following path. Your first priority should be to get your Vitality and Endurance to 20. These are the stats that would allow you to take more hits and dish out more hits. Your damage should be good enough at the beginning of the game to hang until you get to this point. Your second priority is to get Intelligence to 15 and Strength to 20. These are the support stats that will allow you to cast the miracles we need and use the weapons we want. At this point, you should have access to blessed weapons, so the third priority is to get Faith to 36. This is the cap for miracle slots and it will provide the bulk of your damage. It is now time to go back to Vitality and Endurance, so it is your fourth priority to get them both to 40. The reason is the fact that you will probably be a New Game Plus by now, so you will need the extra survivability. Once this is done, we go back to damage. The fifth priority is to get Faith to 50. This will finish off our weapon scaling and bring our damage to assertive levels. Finally, as the last priority, put the last 10 levels into Vitality to beef up our Paladin just a little bit more. Now, why do we use these stats? Let me explain. Vitality at 50 gives us a very healthy character. We will have 1500 HP in human form, 750 HP in soul form, and 1050 HP in soul form with the Cling Ring. These numbers, in combination with the passive health regeneration, will make your Slayer of Demons a righteous tank. Intelligence at 15 is in order to give us 106 MP. This is the minimum level required to get over 100 MP to be able to cast Second Chance without the use of the Silver Coronet. If you prefer to wear a tiara on your head, you can get away with 13 Intelligence plus the Coronet. Obviously, pick whatever suits you the best, but I guarantee you that my Paladin will wear chainmail. Endurance goes up to 40 because we want the most stamina possible for mobility and weapon swings, and the extra equip burden opens up your options for fashion souls. Strength at 20 is solely to meet the strength requirements of certain weapons. At 20 strength, you can use awesome weapons like the Claymore, or you can two-hand the Greatsword, or you can stay with the tried and true Mirden Hammer. Sometimes I feel like flinging enemies into the air, so I like to keep my options open. Dexterity at 12 is just to meet the minimum requirements of some of the weapons that I like to use, essentially the halberd and the Mirden hammer. The Templar starts with 12 dexterity, so do not touch it. Magic stays at 6 because we are not magicians. We are holy knights. We do not cast any spells with this build, so we do not need to improve our magic power. Faith will go up to 50 because it is where most of our damage scaling will come from, because we want the most miracle slots available, and because it represents the true flavor of a paladin's oath. We are the righteous warrior and we believe it. Finally, luck at 7 because this is the base stat of the Templar and we do not need it at all. Moving on to the equipment, with 20 strength, you will have access to a few different weapons. I like to use the Mirden hammer, the claymore, and the greatsword. All three of these cover different situations and playstyles, keeping the build efficient and fresh. You can also choose the knight sword or the executioner's axe. Regardless of which one you choose, it will need to be upgraded in the blessed path. A blessed weapon will have magic damage that scales with faith, and will give the player passive health regeneration. On my offhand, it is obviously very important to use the Adjudicator's Shield for the great health regeneration that it provides. That said, it is a great shield with very poor stats. It also cannot parry. For this reason, I also like to have ready a second shield with 100% physical block that is able to parry. In this case, I chose the kite shield because it goes well with the aesthetics I'm using, but the knight shield or the heater shield are also good choices. I prefer to have the kite shield out as my main shield and only pull out the adjudicator's shield when I need the health regeneration. In regards to rings, they are a very important part of the build. First, the Regenerator's Ring is the required one as it offers additional health regeneration, but the second ring slot is up to your personal preference. You may choose to use the Ring of Great Strength to be able to wear heavier armor, or you may follow my choice and use the Cling Ring for additional health when in soul form. If you're in human form, the Ring of Magical Dullness or Fire Resistance are good choices depending on what kind of enemies you're fighting. Use what you prefer. It's now a good time to go over the regeneration capabilities of the build. A blessed weapon plus 5 of your choice will regenerate your health at a rate of 6 HP per second. The Adjudicator's Shield plus 5 will do so at a rate of 8 HP per second. And the Regenerator's Ring is the lowest regeneration at 4 HP per second. All three of these regeneration sources stack to a total of 18 HP per second of passive health regeneration. With our 15 vitality in human form, we have 1500 HP. This means that we can get a full heal in 84 seconds. If we are in soul form with 750 HP, we get a full heal in 42 seconds. And if we are using the Cling Ring in soul form with 1050 HP, a full heal will take 59 seconds. This is massive. If used correctly, it will heavily lower the amount of healing items you need to use. Now, a Talisman of God will be required to cast miracles, and with 50 faith, we have access to 4 miracle slots. The required miracle is obviously Second Chance in order to have the revive in case things go wrong, but the other miracles can be any of them you prefer. I like to use Evacuate and Cure, but Heal, Recovery, and Anti-Magic Field are very efficient choices as well. Pick the right miracle for the situation you think you will be in. Finally, the armor. The good news is that the armor is completely irrelevant. This means that you can wear whatever it is that you want and whatever it is that looks better on you. I personally like to go for the chain helmet and gloves with the hard leather boots and the saint's robes. I really enjoy this look. Nevertheless, whatever you choose to wear, make sure it looks good and have some fun with it. With a complete build, if you decide to take it into PvE, you will notice that it is very simple to use. You cast Second Chance and use the massive health regeneration to increase your survivability. The build provides good damage too, so it will continue to perform well in New Game Plus and beyond. That said, be warned, this build will not, under any circumstance, make you immortal. You still need to be careful. You still need to be smart, and the game will still punish you. The build allows you to make one or two mistakes safely, but make enough of them and you will perish. Gravity, for example, could not care less about your 18 HP per second health regeneration. It's important that you learn to manage the health regeneration well. Remember that the best health regeneration is not getting hit. Like I mentioned before, I like to use the kite shield to block and parry as needed, while switching to the adjudicator's shield when I take a big hit or I have some time to regenerate without enemies around. When in the heat of combat, do not be stingy with heals. Use them as needed. The health regeneration is not a crutch to stand on. It is a support tool to save you healing item during those moments that you are not being attacked by mobs. Keep in mind that the 20 strength of the build allows you to diversify your weapons. Use the halberd, the Mirden hammer, or the knight sword when you need quick attacks that do not consume a lot of stamina. I have found that the claymore is one of the best weapons to use while running through a level, thanks to its mix of good damage with horizontal and vertical flashes. The greatsword, for example, is good against some bosses like the Penetrator, who have foreseeable attacks and get staggered after a few hits. Pick the right weapon for each moment and always be prepared to learn and adapt. Very similar strategies can also be applied when you are helping another player as a phantom through co-op summons. With high health at 1050 HP with the Cling Ring and serious health regeneration, it will make you equally strong at dealing with the mobs of any level as dealing with any potential invaders. This will remove pressure from the host. You can even take a more offensive approach and use the greatsword with the ally's ring. You will need to two-hand the greatsword at all times due to stat requirements, but your damage will be truly destructive. When it comes to PvP, we have to take into consideration a few different things, but the build performs very well in this environment also. The first thing that you need to know when going into PvP is to use the Mirden hammer. It deals the best damage when two-handed while maintaining a quick attack speed. Its first R1 attack is quick and has a bit of a horizontal range. The second R1 is a thrust with considerable reach and perfect for catching rolls. I am not a big fan of the running R1, but I have to admit that it's very quick and that could come in handy. Unfortunately, it being an overhead swing makes it easy to dodge, in my opinion. The R2 is definitely slow and deals less damage than the R1s, but it has great circular range and benefits from some poise. It is a good tool to catch an opponent that is trying to move in for a backstab or trying to guess parry our incoming R1. As a result, we have a weapon that deals consistent damage and keeps the pressure on the opponent. One last note, this weapon deals blunt damage. This is valuable as metal armor in this game usually provide higher defense values but are weaker against blunt damage. You should be able to get in that extra bit of pain. In regards to shields, always keep the Adjudicator's shield out for maximum health regeneration. Getting hit in PvP is common, meaning that the regeneration will almost always be active. Once again, It will not make you immortal, but the few HP you get here and there while you and your opponent are dodging each other will start to add up. This will generate pressure on your opponent, who will realize that you're getting healed and might try to be more aggressive. This can lead to more mistakes that we can capitalize on. As always, adapt to the situation at hand, and if you see someone who is predictable or mashing their R1, switch shields and go for the parry. Be careful, as this can also happen to you. We have good R1s, but you have to be smart with them. As for a ring selection in PvP, obviously we will always use the Regenerator's ring. Now, the second one can be anything you wish. If I am invading another player, I switch between the Cling ring or the Foe's ring, depending on whether I want more defense or a higher attack. The natural health regeneration makes me feel confident enough in our survivability that I tend to go for the extra 20% damage from the Foe's ring. They are both good choices though. On the other hand, if I am in human form and someone invades me, I have the full stock of 1500 HP, so I will probably use the Ring of Magical Dullness to increase my magic defense. Magic spells are very powerful in PvP, so it never hurts to get that extra bit of damage reduction. Whether you're looking for a good PvE build or a competitive PvP build, the Paladin will definitely perform. It is strong, versatile, and enjoys a high rate of survivability. I am a fan of Paladins and particularly of the fashion souls that I'm currently wearing, so this build very quickly became my favorite. If you decide to make it, I know that it will not let you down. Nevertheless, what is your favorite build? What do you recommend I try next? I am open to any suggestion as I am always ready to start a new character. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. For now, please allow me to take this opportunity to thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in the next one.